And welcome back. I want to provide an update for you guys regarding new home sale numbers in the greater Sacramento area. This is because the North State Building Industry Association just released about a week ago new home sales in the greater Sacramento area for December. And also I'm going to provide an analysis regarding how that compares to years past, going back to approximately 2006. Also in today's video, I'm going to provide an update regarding residential construction numbers in the US on a national level here. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I have a lot to share. So again, this is based on a report from the North State Building Industry Association, which is in the greater Sacramento area here. And they report new home sale numbers in the greater Sacramento area. This was posted on January 18th. The headline reads the following: December new home sales are up 45% from November. So from November 2022 through December, that's a month-to-month increase of 45%. They also state here that the number of new home sales in 2022 is more or less at pre-pandemic levels. So the BIA says new home sales rebounded in December around the greater Sacramento region with 372 sales recorded in the 8-county area. And that's a 45% increase from last November, according to the North State Building Industry Association, or the BIA. And they say here, except for the past two pandemic years, 2020, of course, 2021, this is actually the best December for home builders since 2006. Again, only in the Sacramento region here, the best month for December going back to 2006. It also was the best month in 2022 since April last year. And here's a graphic here showing December new home sales in the region going back to 2012. So each of these bars here represents the number of new home sales in December for each of these years here. So for 2022, there's 372 brand new home sales. 1 year ago, 615. Obviously in 2020, much higher as well there, 660. Much higher compared to the past several years, of course. But at 372 for December, this is actually the highest levels since approximately 2006, according to the BIA. As you can see, in 2019, there was 320 home sales, and 2018, approximately 251, whereas last December, 372 for the month. So besides the past couple of years right here, the sales numbers for December 2022 are the highest numbers of home sales or brand new home sales since December of 2006, according to the BIA. And here's a table I put together for you guys regarding their monthly updates from the BIA. Which, by the way, I actually called them a few months ago, and they said a new home sale is a signed contract between a builder and a home buyer. So last December, 372, and that's a 40% decrease compared to 1 year ago, but an increase of 45% on a month-to-month basis. Again, November compared to December, an increase of 45%. This also marks the second consecutive month of increases in home sales. In November, home sales increased by 18% compared to October, and of course in December, increased by 45%. And again, the levels right now at 372, the highest levels since April of 2022, when we had 496 home sales. So when looking at 2021 versus 2022, in 2022, there was 4,885 home sales. 2021, just over 7,200. And therefore, there's approximately 2,357 fewer home sales in 2022 compared to 2021. And that's a 33% decrease on a year-over-year basis. All right, so going back to this report from the BIA, one thing I do want to mention here, this is definitely something to keep in mind here, is that when only talking about home sales, this is only one small piece of the puzzle regarding our housing market in general here. What we don't know from this report here is that how many of these home builders reduce their asking prices of their homes, and also how many of these builders are offering incentives in order to drive home sales. In other words, how many of these home builders in the greater Sacramento area are offering concessions for their houses. In other words, they're decreasing their prices for the houses, or maybe they're potentially offering more incentives for home builders or home buyers, I should say. Some of these incentives may be paying points in order to pay down your rate that you're paying for your mortgage. Also, you could be getting free builder upgrades such as a free refrigerator, a free washer and dryer, or other builder upgrades such as paint, flooring, cabinets, etc. So simply just sharing the number of home sales doesn't really tell us the whole story here because as you guys all know, a lot of home builders are offering incentives for home buyers in order to buy houses. And therefore, when looking at home sales, that could be one reason why they saw an increase in December because more home builders are decreasing their prices and also giving home buyers more freebies, to say the least here, and offering more concessions for home buyers in order to drive home sales. So that's just kind of one thing to keep in mind when talking about this increase of 45% on a month-to-month basis. Again, only home sales we're talking about here, not concessions that builders are offering home buyers. Now, here's what we do know on a national level for home builders. And the best way to kind of describe this is looking at the earnings call for Q4 for Lennar, the home builder Lennar, looking at the earnings call for Q4, which is posted back in December of 2022. So look at this for Sacramento. This is what they're called. They're Category 2 markets, which makes up 23 markets here, as you see right here. But Sacramento is a Category 2 market from Lennar here. It says here in their Category 2 markets, which reflect markets where we've made more significant adjustments and have successfully regained sales momentum. So they offered significant adjustments in order to entice home buyers to buy houses. It says while inventory is limited in each of these markets, we've had to offer more aggressive financing, base price reductions, and or increase incentives in order to regain sales momentum. And the size of the adjustments is varied on a community by community basis. In other words, every housing market's different, right? They also say in some cases, in order to avoid cancellations from home buyers, they've had to adjust pricing. So when talking about this update from the BIA for the greater Sacramento area, I actually kind of want to take a step back and really kind of reflect on the current status of our housing market, where cancellation rates are much, much higher compared to 1 year ago. And of course, only sharing sales numbers doesn't really tell us the full story. Now, here's what they are sharing with us, because in the greater Sacramento region here, for 2022, they said there was 5,010 new home sales for the entire year, which is entirely wrong. It's just very sloppy of them because 5,010, here's my calculation here, because in 2022, and by the way, these are from their actual reports on their website here, because in 2022, there was 4,885 new home sales in the greater Sacramento region and not 5,010. Therefore, their new home sales figure here is off by 125 home sales in 2022. And by the way, did I mention I used to be an auditor in my previous life? I was a CPA for KPMG for about 4 years, working in their audit department. So that's kind of one reason why I probably found this error here, which you can see right here, because every single month here lines up with my column right here. If you add up all these numbers right here, you would get 4,885 and not 5,010. In any case, at 4,885 and not 5,010, this is actually the lowest levels since approximately 2018, because back then there was approximately 4,379 new home sales for that year. In any case, let's move on. I also want to provide analysis regarding what we're seeing right now for building material prices here. This is actually something I actually just noticed today, because lumber future prices have actually been increasing. So when looking at lumber futures prices over the past 1 week, they're up 14.3%. Compared to 1 month ago, they're up a whopping 28.3%. When looking at 1 year ago, though, they were still down approximately 52%. So even though lumber prices have come down from the lows we saw of around 345, the current levels right now at 516 is much lower than the peak we saw back in, when was this again? Back in March 2022, as well as May of 2021. Back in May 2021, lumber future prices were actually just less than $1,700. Now they're only $516. But interesting to see that prices have come up about 28.3% over the past 1 month. Also interesting to see the jump was right here on January 17th this year, going from 344 to 429 in a matter of days. So that's lumber futures prices. Let's talk about some other building materials. According to the National Association of Home Builders, that was just posted on January 18th. It says the Producer Price Index, or their PPI, for inputs into residential construction rose 8.3% in 2022, according to the latest PPI report. This is less than one half of the increase we saw in 2021. So big picture here, building material prices are still increasing, but not at the rates we saw back in 2021. Back in 2021, the increase was 18.9% compared to 2020. This year, or actually not this year, keep on thinking that's 2022 still, but in 2022, it increased by 8.3%. Again, the annual change in building material prices compared to 1 year ago, increase of 8.3%, whereas last year it increased by 18.9%. And they say here on a monthly basis, building materials, those prices for building materials declined by 0.3% in December, the fourth consecutive monthly decrease in building material prices here. After increasing an average of 1.8% per month for the first 5 months of 2022, this index averaged a monthly 0.1% decrease from June through December of 2021. So the first 5 months, this index here increased on average 1.8%, but from June through December, it decreased by 0.1% on average. So here's the building material prices going back to January 2021. Obviously in January 2021, all the way through June of 2021, we saw monthly increases every single month. We also saw increases in October 2021 through March of 2022. After that, though, we start to see a shift, though, because for 4 consecutive months now, we've been seeing decreases on a month-to-month basis. We're not talking about huge changes, though, but still a decrease, which is obviously nice to see compared to the giant increases we saw in 2021. And therefore, because of the giant increase in 2021, the average monthly change was 1.5%, or a gain of 1.5%, whereas in 2022, it was only 0.7%. So half of the gain we saw back in 2021. So let's also look at softwood lumber. The PPI for softwood lumber fell 6.9% in December and fell 26.1% over the course of 2022. And they say here, since increasing in the first 3 months of 2022, the softwood lumber index has fallen 45.8%. So more or less ever since April of 2022, we saw this decrease of the PPI for softwood lumber. But again, keep in mind, this is only through December here, and lumber future prices is not the same thing. I'm also talking about prices as of today, which is January 30th here. They also talk about steel mill products. So steel mill products, those decreased 2.7% in December. That's a month-to-month change, the 6th consecutive decline. After soaring 128% in 2021, prices dropped 28.7% in 2022 and down 25% since May of 2022. They also share gypsum building material prices as well. This is more or less drywall prices. So the PPI for that decreased 0.2% in December, but increased 17.6% over the course of 2022. And they say here, although the 2022 price increase, again, increasing by 17.6%, that was more than 3 times the 25-year average, it still was substantially lower than the 23% increase we saw in 2021. So you can see that increase right here in 2021, increasing by about 23% and increasing by 17.6% in 2022. Giant increases in more or less a sheetrock over the past 2 years. In regards to ready-mix concrete, the PPI for that increased 1.6% in December and also increased 13.6% in 2022, twice the 2021 increase and nearly 7 times the historical average. And here's a chart showing just that from 2020 through the end of 2022. In 2020, until we hit more or less January 2021, it was more or less flat right here. But ever since then has been increasing big time, especially in the spring months of 2022, been more or less been going straight up. And with that said, please comment below with your biggest takeaways from today's video. Also, if you guys got any value in this video whatsoever, then please hit the like button. I could appreciate that. Of course, I appreciate you. Hope you guys have an awesome day. Look forward to seeing you on the next video.